What is up, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic evening. It looks like Robert Saleh is back in the mix. Great night to do a open mic session. So that means it's your show. It's open to you, and we'll get to you next. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And Robert Saleh seems to be heading back to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I don't want to get too excited because things change quickly around here. Just less than 24 hours ago, it seemed as if he was going to be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And here we are, just 24 hours later, and now it looks like he's going to be the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. Some smaller, lesser-known accounts that have been accurate in the past are saying it's a done deal. Some of the bigger guys, the Silvers, the Matt Mayokos, they're not quite ready to go there yet, but they are saying that if he does take a defensive coordinator position, it will be with the San Francisco 49ers. We'll see. I mean, is he in the Raiders mix? Does he care? Is he willing to sit out a year? I don't know. But it does seem like he's going to end up, at least in this moment, with the San Francisco 49ers. So there you go. Mr. Laidback saying it's done. Is it actually reported? Let's see. Let's see if it's reported. Last I checked, like 2 minutes ago, it was not quite done. So curious to see. Get some noties. Oops. Just checking it out. It doesn't say that it's reported yet. So I think it's done too, but listen, things change quickly. So I'm not gonna say it's for sure done, but it seems to be done. All right. That being said, oh, you asked if it was done. Okay, all right. My bad. I thought you said it is done. You know what? I'm dyslexic. All right. I read the two backwards. No, it's not it's not officially done. But he's not going to be the head coach of the Jaguars, or seemingly it's not headed that way. Liam Cohn, who was out of the running as of yesterday, is all of a sudden back in the running because Balky's out. It was reported that he was their first choice, and he is there now negotiating a deal, I guess, to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, which would leave Robert Saleh available. It's also been reported that Robert Saleh said if he does become a defensive coordinator this next year, that it will be with the 49ers only. So it's heading in that direction for sure. So, all right, let's get to these callers. I've got Nick, I've got Alan, and I've got Korean 49er. We're going to go with Nick first, then Alan, then Korean 49er. Here we go. What's up, Nick?
Yo, what's up, Jesse?
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. Couldn't be better, actually.
Good. So I was listening to your show. I think it was yesterday, where you're talking about how they did the process like terribly, and I agree with you. I thought if they didn't get Saleh, it was going to kind of be a crapshoot, and they were going to do the same thing, go with kind of what they had. And last year they did the same thing with Sorensen. That's why I don't think it really worked out, because I don't think he was prepped for it or necessarily ready. But with that being said, people have been talking about Saleh having another opportunity. Like, you know, it could be next year, it could be 2 years from now. Like he's going to continue to get more interviews, I'm sure, especially if he does well as our defensive coordinator again. With that being said, I was watching the SF Niners talk with Jason Aponte yesterday, and he had the idea of, if Carroll got hired, that have Carroll kind of mentor KJ Wright and have KJ Wright take over after. And I like that idea. So what if we did that same thing with Saleh? Because I don't know. I just want the Niners to have a backup plan in case in a year from now he does get hired somewhere else, or 2 years from now he does get somewhere else, and we're doing the same like process. Because what it seems from my point of view is like what Shanahan does is what he does, and he doesn't really change much. So I don't doubt that it's going to be, if we have to go through the process again, it's going to be the same kind of result where they're looking for one specific guy and they're kind of going all in on him. And so what do you think of that? Having him kind of mentor KJ Wright and have him do kind of like what they did in for the Patriots with Gerard Mayo, even though that didn't necessarily work out.
Yeah, well, and Gerard Mayo was the head coach, right? Like
Yeah, true.
that's a whole different level of a step up. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to it. Mentor anybody that you feel like is worthy of that position. I'm not too worried about him getting another job in another season. I mean, he may, and that's okay if that's what happens. I think, this is what I'm worried about. I'm worried about this season. The 49ers and Kyle Shanahan in particular, like they can't have another 6-11 season. They can't have another season where they don't make the playoffs. I mean, that's bad for business. If that happens, there's no guarantee that the coaching staff's even brought back. And Robert Saleh certainly then isn't getting a head coaching position. So they've
True.
got to win. I think if Robert Saleh is in the mix again next year, that means the 49ers had a very, very good season. And hey, if he's here for 1 year, then so be it. You know what I mean? Like I'm
True.
totally
True. And then the last question is, do you think Saleh coming back influences pick 11 at all? Like, do you think it more so like maybe, because I know offensive line, like there's a couple picks. What is it? Will Campbell, is that his name, from
Mhm.
LSU? Yeah, like
Yeah.
he looks like a stud. He looks like a definitely possible pick. But then there's also the DT out of Ole Miss, Walter Nolan, I think is his name.
Mhm.
He looks like a stud too. And then if somehow Carter slips, I mean, if they don't pick Carter and he somehow slips to them, I don't know what we're doing. But do you think it influences at all?
I don't know that it influence it. Yeah, yes, a little bit because they're gonna take in all the perspective from everybody. Maybe they're choosing between a couple different guys, and then Robert Saleh is like, hey, I think this guy probably fits better with what we're trying to do, and then that helps sway them. I don't know that it has a major influence, but it's gonna have some. I mean, he's a different voice in the room
Yeah,
that is going to have a little bit of sway. Not the ultimate sway, but he'll have some. So yeah, I think it could potentially change it. I think you know what I'm looking at. I think where it might have the biggest impact is if they really want to bring back Dre Greenlaw. I mean, imagine being Dre
yeah,
Greenlaw. This was your first defensive coordinator. This was the guy that you kind of grew up under, so to speak.
true.
So now that he's back in the fray, assuming that that's the case, maybe if he is deciding like, hey, I can go to this team and make
A
two,
little bit
three
more.
extra million a
Yeah,
year, or I could come back here where I'm obviously
yeah,
very, very comfortable with the team. And now I got Robert Saleh back. That might be enough to bring him back. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it is like from a free agent standpoint, and in particular, our own guy in Dre Greenlaw. I'm hoping that
true,
helps play and bring him
true.
back as well.
And that is basically the same thing that happened with Aziz with going to
Yeah.
D'Amico after he was in Tennessee. And then
Yep.
also we could get some free agents from the Jets, like DJ Reed and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. All right. Well, thank you for that, Jesse. I appreciate you as always. And yeah, I'll be watching.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Peace.
Hey, good call to start it off for sure. Let's see what the chat's talking. Saleh and Staley, what a team. Two AFC fired coaches. Hey, just because you're not a good head coach doesn't mean you're not a good defensive coordinator. I do agree, though. It does seem like the sentiment in the chat, at least from what I've read, is that Robert Saleh alone does not fix things. And I could not agree more. Robert Saleh alone does not fix this defense. There is a lot of maneuvering that the 49ers have to do on the defensive side of the ball if they are going to be super competitive next year. And Robert Saleh certainly helps for sure. He's certainly an upgrade over what they had. There's no doubt about that. But he alone does not fix their issues. But it's a step in the right direction. And I think for as much as I wanted a philosophy shift and for the 49ers to be open to doing something different, I knew that that was also never going to happen. And based off of what was in front of us, what the 49ers want to do, Robert Saleh was by far the best choice available. By far. So listen, the process was wonky, but the result, if it ends up being Saleh, was great. And I'm just going to be happy about that. And then they've got some work to do to make sure this defense is up to snuff for them. Absolutely. I agree. But you got to start somewhere. And I don't know that it gets better than this. So I'm going to go to Allen and then Korean 49er. If you want to call in, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. What's up, Alan? Alan, you there? Going once, going twice. All right, I'll try Alan again in a minute. I'll go to Korean 49er. What's up, Korean 49er?
I'm good, Jesse. How are you?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Hey, man, we'll miss you on with Grant, but congratulations on your Bleacher Report.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. In fact, I just finished on Bleacher Report before I came here. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Well, that's good. So, a couple things to talk to you about. I could see Saleh being our next coach in case if they want to separate themselves from Kyle if he has another bad season next season. Because to
That's
me,
interesting. That's okay.
That's conspiratorial by nature, unintentionally.
No, I like it though. Okay, let's go down this. Let's go down this path. Let me hear it from you.
Because my thing is what do the 49ers always try to do? They always try to get a minority, manager like Rand Carthon and someone like that, so they got extra picks. So they could kind of swerve around the Rooney Rule by interviewing Saleh, and if that just kind of avoids all that kind of thing. Because why would you just go back for 1 year if you think that if you're going to be potentially promoted somewhere else, you could slide right in?
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, to me, I think the only way that Robert Saleh might end up being the head coach here is he would have to be an interim head coach, which means the 49ers would have to, next season would have to be going miserable, like awful, 4-9 or something like that. And they're just like, all right, we're done. Get rid of Kyle. Like, he's losing the locker room. He's burned all of his bridges. We're done with Kyle. And then Robert Saleh slides in as the interim. They like what they see from him, and then he ends up being the guy. I don't know that there's another path for Robert Saleh to be the head coach here, but him being in the building certainly puts him in a position, if that were to happen, for that to be a possibility.
That's how I'm thinking. Also, this is the main point of this call or this conversation. To me, the Commanders, hopefully they'll be called the Redskins again, because that was a great name for their team.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing all the things that the 49ers made mistakes on. You hire Adam Peters. He has a great draft. We helped to turn over the team. He drafts a rookie quarterback very high.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? And you get a coach that appears to have learned from his past mistakes. Not saying they're going to beat the Eagles and go to the Super Bowl. If they do, that's great. But, they turned it around in one season. They saw the 49er mistakes and like, gee, you guys didn't do what they did. But, Dan Quinn wasn't a 49er, but Adam Peters, I believe, is a far better GM than John Lynch in 1 year. We'll see what happens for next season. Dan Quinn appears to be making progress as a coach. The next season will be a indicator where he may be going. And they have a rookie quarterback that appears to be going places, or at least appearing that he'll be there for at least 10 seasons. Those are a lot of the 49er mistakes. That's like, it's just kind of, if I'm Jet, I'm looking at that. I'm like, why are all these mistakes biting us in the ass?
Yeah, I mean, he went straight. He went straight after what the 49ers philosophy seemed to be early on, which was building the trenches, got their quarterback right away. And the success they've had is absolutely amazing. I mean, obviously hitting on Jaden Daniels is number one, but to me, yeah, that was it. He's doing a fantastic job there. I'm curious to see what their future looks like, but I will say they have $96 million to spend. So I would assume that at least on paper, that roster is going to be even better next year. And if somehow, some way, they win a Super Bowl this year, that would be crazy with Adam Peters at the helm. That would be like worst case scenario for the 49ers for sure.
To me, they're doing all the things that Kyle and Lynch didn't do.
Mm.
I mean, if you honestly look at it, I mean, they didn't get a quarterback early, before that first season. John Lynch doesn't know how to build a team. And they have a coach, at least. Yeah, he lost that Super Bowl with Kyle, but it seems that, he's learned and making better decisions. You always need a break or two along the way, but if you're making relatively good decisions with the team and play calling, that's half the battle. You don't ever want to look in the mirror and say, I'm looking at my opponent, it's myself, like Kyle.
Yeah, I think, but also I do want to be fair to the situation. And I brought this up a couple weeks ago that like if Kyle Shanahan had an opportunity to restart his career with the 49ers, would he do something different? And I know that we all think he's super stubborn. I think that that's real. I don't think we're just making that up. But I also think that he would be reflective enough to do things differently if he had a second look at it. And I look at what Adam Peters is doing, and he's doing a fantastic job. But that was like his second chance. He got to watch it go down here with how the 49ers did things. Maybe he was a big part of that. Maybe he wasn't. That's the hard thing. We don't know exactly what he was responsible for and what he wasn't. What we do know is he's done a fantastic job in year one with Washington. But how much of that is learning from the 49ers mistakes and having the opportunity to go out and retry things? You know what I mean? Because the 49ers did make those mistakes. Maybe if he had gotten this job 5 years ago, he would have made the same exact mistakes because he believed in what the 49ers were doing then. It's really hard to say, but what we can say is he is doing a fantastic job. And if they do win a Super Bowl before the 49ers, it doesn't look good. It definitely does not look good.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good look for the 49ers and like what their decision making is. If I was Jed, I'd be bringing in Lynch and Shanahan to the office and saying, I need a plan in 2 days. Tell me what you're going to do to get, at least get yourself back to a deep playoff run. Maybe you don't make the Super Bowl, but at least you can say, hey, we made a deep playoff run. And, that's going to show that your guys are willing to do what it takes, because right now that's not the case. It doesn't appear to be that.
For sure. All right, brother. Hey, listen, I got a few people waiting backstage, so I got to get to them. I appreciate you calling in. Per usual, we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right, man. Have a good one. Hold on. Let me get to these chats real quick. All day, every day, Kim says 49ers still got a coach QB who flinches late in games. For sure. It doesn't solve everything, but it does help. I think you were the one that made the comment about the squirrel or something. I saw it and then I lost it and I was never able to respond. But if that was you, I did see the comment. That is crazy. All day, every day, Kim says Washington has the most poised rookie quarterback ever. Yeah, he's incredible. Dave says news, Brock stats identical to Jimmy G's, just more losses. Got it. And Stack says premature title. Not really. I said reports Saleh is back. I didn't say he is back. To be fair, reading is fundamental. Okay. I'm going to go with Alan, BS Report, Big Puffin, Willis, and then Justin. All right. Let's see if Alan has his audio fixed. What's up, Alan?
Hey, Jesse. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, man.
Sorry about that. I tried to connect to the
No.
AirPods, but StreamYard acting a little funky sometimes.
It always does. It always does. I feel it.
I just had a couple questions for you. One of them is, have you started looking at college prospects, or have you been doing that throughout the season? Because I know you said you're a college guy, but not too deep into it. Like you watch a couple games here and there. But
yeah,
I mean,
I know some names, but I don't have like favorites yet. I actually am trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. So I have a ton of all 22 on all of college football. The problem is that if I play it here on YouTube, I'll get copyright strikes and I'll lose my channel. So I can't do that. But the application that I use, StreamYard, does have a webinar service. I think I might do that. And then for the members of the channel, I'll send out the link and then they can come in and we can just watch film together on these guys, kind of learn about these prospects together. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics, but look out for that. And I'll know sooner than later. I'll start doing mock drafts and what have you. It's just a little awkward because the 49ers season's over, but football's not, and I'm not necessarily ready for the season to be over yet.
Transition.
So,
Well, to be honest,
yeah.
I've been kind of in that half and half situation. Been watching
Mhm.
half college with after our season was pretty much over after those last 2 weeks, like you called it. You
Mm.
said, yeah, there's no point in even maybe watching those games. Maybe let's see if there's any potential with the youngins, but um, what you call it? But with college so far, I've seen there's two D tackles that Graham do from Michigan,
Yeah.
and I don't know who the other one was, but I
I
do
think I
prefer that
think he
Graham.
might be going pretty early. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird because if you do some mock drafts, which by the way are not usually accurate as far as where guys go, he does pretty much fall to number 11 a lot, but then I've heard he's a top 3 prospect too, so I don't know.
Yeah, but knowing our team, we go D line first over O line. Because if I really had to pick a choice, I would get that tackle from LSU. Because I feel like
LSU. What
that's our
about the one
biggest
from
weakness.
Texas? What about the one
Well,
from Texas?
there's that one, and then there's one from Ohio State that somebody's talking about, but he got hurt
Mhm.
early in the season. I think it was against Oregon, but we're projected to get him. But I don't like having the injury history coming out of college.
Yeah.
But
But that's
and
a
then I
Trent Baalke special right there.
I did want to ask you do you do you think do you have an idea if you were in the Niners position, would you attack in the offseason for like free agency wise? Would you get
Oh
veterans? Would you
yeah.
get younger guys, or would you try to mainly get your big name pieces through the draft? How would you do it?
Yeah, I think the 49ers are in a position because they've got big time money being spent already that they can't necessarily go out and get a big time free agent and spend a ton of money. I think the next star that is on this player is going to have to come through the draft at some point. And it's going to have to be a player that's cheap for 4 or 5 years before they got to figure out if they can pay him or not, just because they have so many contracts that are expensive. So for me, I'm using free agency to fill out the roster. I'm getting guys that could start if we don't find anybody better in the draft this year. But if we do find somebody better in the draft, I'm totally okay for them being a depth piece. So I'm looking at a bunch of guys, Mike Piniella, defensive tackle, Brandon Stevens at corner, Quandre Diggs at safety, Justin School, I wouldn't mind bringing back as a swing tackle or possibly the right tackle. Ty Johnson, those types of players. Nobody big, like no big names, but guys that are veterans and know how to play in this league and can be depth pieces for sure and start if you do need them to.
Yeah, I agree. I know that probably the two priorities if I was in their shoes is probably bring Greenlaw back and Mason, because I
Yeah.
like Mason as a
Greenlaw for
depth
sure.
piece. Um, but I see my timer's about to run out, Jesse. The one biggest thing, if you're gonna go through that college tape, look at Indiana's D line. Their D
Okay.
line, especially their D tackle. I think you can't miss him on film. Bro's like almost like DJ Jones.
Where's he projected to go as of right now? Any idea?
I don't know if he's declared yet. I know there's still players,
Okay.
on the verge of declaring or not. But you'll see him. He jumps out of tape like crazy.
Okay. Perfect, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Have a good one, Jess.
All right, brother. You too. All right. Keep an eye out for him. I will keep an eye out for him. Sometimes that's the best way to go. Like if you don't know guys, instead of actively searching them out, just go watch teams and see who jumps off on film. If there's somebody that jumps off, then that's probably you should probably look at a little bit more. So, all right, I want to go BS report. Big Puffin, Justin, Flav, Willis, Jeff, and then what's up, Jose? I see Jose back there. All right, BS report. What's up, my guy?
How's it going, Jesse?
Good, man. Good to see you calling in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I have a scenario for you. Get your opinion on
Okay.
it.
All right.
So it looks like Liam Cohen's going to get that job in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But from our reports, Shad Khan really thinks very highly of Robert Saleh. What if he tries to outbid the 49ers for Saleh?
To be the defensive coordinator?
Yeah. And trying to put together some sort of, because I think Robert would have more control as far as like being the defensive guy in Jacksonville than with San Francisco. And if he can resurrect that Jacksonville defense and become like a top tier defense in Jacksonville, he might be the number one candidate to get a job next offseason. Like he might be the most sought after guy.
That's an interesting scenario. Hadn't thought about that. Gosh, I think there's a lot to unpack there. Number one, the report is that if he is a defensive coordinator next year, he has told the 49ers that it will be with them. That does not mean he has to take it, by the way.
Right.
Would he be willing to be the defensive coordinator after wanting to be the head coach of the team? Remember, he was supposed to be there for a second interview tomorrow. And now all of a sudden, the day before, in the 11th hour, they're like, "Hey, don't come out here. We're trying to work out a contract with somebody else before we even gave you a second shot at it." Will that rub him the wrong way? I don't know, but money does talk, and maybe it is possible that they would offer that. I wouldn't be shocked if Detroit offered him. If the Jags offered him, sure, I could see that. I just don't know where his head lies. I mean, I also look at it and say, look, I don't know, is he willing to sit out a year if he doesn't get a job? Like, that's a possibility. He's being paid still. It's not like he has to take a job somewhere else. So I don't know.
That's definitely true. And my only reason for thinking maybe Jacksonville is because I know he has a relationship with ownership there, and they're fond of each other. So I was just thinking, you know, he's going to be whatever he does in San Francisco, Kyle's getting the credit for it. You know, sure, in NFL circles, they might say, you know, yeah, Robert, you led a good offense and this and that, but it's still going to be Kyle. If he goes to Jacksonville or even Detroit, you know, he's going to get I feel like he's going to get a lot more credit for what he does in other places. And, you know, I put out a video the other day and I thought it was I was just mostly joking and I got a lot of flack for it, but I was saying, you know, if I was Saleh, I'd be offended. I would call Kyle and be like, bro, you're not even going to hire anybody or interview anybody else. You're so sure I'm not going to get a job that you're not even going to bother to interview anybody. Like, that's offensive, man. So, I mean, I was mostly joking, but at the same time, I was somewhat serious. If I was Robert Saleh, I'd be sitting back like, really, bro? You're that sure that no one wants me? You're just not going to interview nobody, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it that way. I would almost be flattered, like, all right, he's willing to just sit and wait no matter what happens, and I'll be the highest paid guy. I think you could look at it either way for sure.
Yeah, but to be the highest paid guy, you know, like you said a second ago, money talks. And so, you know, right now the Niners are saying they'll make him that, but somebody else might jump in and be like, hey, I'll go above that. Someone like Detroit, you know, because, man, I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit finishes last in that division next season. I mean, they've just been they're being depleted. And then to have the emotional letdown of losing to the Commanders the way they did and just all the hype, you know, being considered the best team in football for the most part all season long, and then to go out like that the last couple of weeks. And it's just, man, I could see them having a similar season to the 49ers this year, just the emotional toll that might take on them. And then losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and just, I could see Detroit really just having probably just one, but having a real down year.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I was having that conversation with David, who does the post game show with me, and he thinks they're going to have a big time regression. And I'm like, well, what is a big time regression? Are we talking like 6-11 49ers regression? Are we talking about don't make the playoffs? Is 10-7 and losing in the divisional round like they did this year, even though the record's worse? Does that constitute a big time regression? We're actually having that conversation. It is interesting. I could definitely see it. You know, but maybe they do well. I mean, 15-2 is hard to duplicate no matter who you are. Even if all those guys came back, it's how far do you make it in the playoffs? And if they can get back to the divisional round, if you told me next year Detroit got back to the divisional round and lost again, I could believe it. If you told me they finished third in the division and missed the playoffs, I could probably believe that too. So,
right. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with the chemistry between Ben Johnson and Caleb right off the bat. If they can hit the ground running, you know, they're not depleted of talent. I mean, there is some there. Caleb's a little bit iffy to me, but, you know, Ben Johnson's a hell of a coach, man. I can't wait to watch that unfold.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. He's a hell of a play caller, hell of an offensive coordinator. Is he a good head coach? I don't know, man. Time's gonna tell for sure. All right, brother. Hey, they keep doing your thing over there, and I appreciate you calling in.
Yep, thank you, sir.
All right, man. Dave says, my brother Jesse, if I come to Florida, we should grab something to eat. Yeah, man, for sure. Hit me up. You let me know if you're in the Tampa area. Marcus says, so Robert Saleh is not with the 49ers yet. No, he's not with the 49ers yet. By all reports, it sounds like the Jacksonville Jaguar job is going to be Liam Cohen's, who was their front runner yesterday. He pulled out of the job, but once they fired Balky, he was back in, and they're negotiating a deal now. And then Robert Saleh has told the 49ers that if he does not get a head coaching job, that he plans to be the defensive coordinator here. So sounds like he's back. Smaller accounts that have been right in the past have reported that he's already accepted, but no big time names that I have seen yet has reported that. Dave Barclay says, Jess and I are going to start doing shows for fans. All right, bro. Oh, man. Okay. I'm going to go to Big Puffin, Justin, Flav, Willis, Jeff, Jose, and then Marketing Pro. This one's interesting because I know this gentleman. He is not a 49er fan. In fact, he doesn't even give a rip about football other than fantasy football. I got to know what you want to talk about, sir.
Jesse, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
All right. Long-time fan, first-time caller.
All right, perfect.
Really want to, I mean, I've been a fan. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been a fan since 1950 when they came out of the AAFL, okay? And they went 3-9 their first year in the NFL, so I'm a longtime fan. All right, okay?
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm buying it.
Yeah, you're sold for sure. I really want to get your perspective and your look in the future of what you're predicting for next season for the Niners and what their record would be, and the news today and how that affects it, because that's important to me. So
okay, perfect. Do you want to take this call? Do you want to take my answer off air? Are you good to do that, or do you want to hang around?
I can take it off air. I just wanted you to know I'm concerned after the news today, and I wanted you to know I was concerned as a fan.
Perfect. Perfect. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in, man.
Anytime.
I do appreciate the question. Good questions. All right, bro. Later. That's a friend of mine. Does not care about the 49ers, but I will answer the questions for the sake of he is all of a sudden on the bandwagon of the 49ers. I will say, just looking at the team as it sits now, knowing what they have cap space wise, knowing that Robert Saleh is back, don't know why you would be concerned about that news. As a fan, I mean, a true fan that you are, of course. I think it's really good news that he is back. But I think, and also looking at the schedule, very early in the process, sir. I mean, free agency still has to happen, the draft. We'll see. I think this team can win 11 games next year, though, and I think they can be back in the playoffs. I personally don't believe that they'll win a playoff game next year, but a lot has to happen this offseason. And if they make the right moves, Dre Greenlaw comes back, they have a really good draft. Brandon Ayuk comes back and looks like himself. CMC looks like himself. They certainly could go on a run. So I just think a lot has to happen for that to take place. But I definitely can see an 11-win season next year. Dave Barclay says, Liam Cohen's wife says, all right, geez, bro, gosh. All day, every day, Kim says, how much money do the 49ers have to spend in free agency? Technically, they have about 47 million-ish, but there's a lot of maneuvering that has to happen. They've got to probably rework the Kittle deal. They've got to rework the Fred Warner deal. They've got to sign Brock Purdy. So how much of that is functional money? You've got about $10 million that goes to your rookies. Not a ton, but enough to be effective. And that's why I say, to me, I wouldn't spend all that money on like a big time free agent. I would just go and get depth. Go and build the depth through free agency, guys that you can trust, veterans in this league. And crush it in the draft and try to compete for a Super Bowl next year. I mean, to me, I think that's the best path. But that money on the surface isn't as much as it seems because of all the reworking that they have to do. But it is enough to be effective in free agency, in my opinion. So I'm glad you are excited about what you've heard. All right, let's go to Justin. What's up, Justin?
What up? What up?
How you doing, man?
Good.
Good.
First off, I just want to say, big fan of the show. I've been watching for a while now. Like the shows that you were doing with Grant, those are like my favorites. So I've been watching since like 2020, 2021, I think. So
yeah.
But
we had a good run, man. We had a good 4-year run at that thing. I'm gonna miss that show for sure.
Yeah, that was like my comfort show, man. I could just walk around the house, throw it on, and just like hear you guys rant. It was cool. But
appreciate it.
But I just want to touch on 49ers like free agency and like my free agency wish list that I have for the 49ers this year.
Let's do it.
I feel like they really need a free safety, and Javon Holland, like really, really good player. He's like an established, like probably top 5, top 7 talent at free safety in the NFL. And he's still super young, and I feel like the Niners need like an influx of like young talent, you know? And he's
I do okay. I will say this. I like Holland a lot. Holland a lot. I'm gonna mute you while I'm talking, so I'm getting a little feedback. I'll get back to you in a second. I like Holland a lot. Ex-Oregon Duck, right? But I will say Miami Dolphins fans have really kind of swayed my opinion on him a little bit. They've talked about how he really struggles against good teams. Like anytime they play a good team, he seemingly plays his worst. He grades out his worst according to PFF. I don't take all the stock in the world in PFF, but it is something. And Miami Dolphins fans do back that up. So just food for thought. I like him, obviously, as a player, but there is that. But go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, I like Javon Holland. I'm a Ducks fan as well. So, like, I've been watching him play for a long time. I think he's a former teammate of Lenore. And, like, I really like his skill set, you know? Like, he's 6'3", big guy, and, like, top 5, top 7 talent. You could pair him with Malik Mustafa, and they could become, like, one of the best duos in the league. That's why, like, I really like the upside there. They're both really young. He's already established as, like, a great player. And then, yeah, but, like, he'd be expensive. But, like, I think he'd be worth, throwing money at. But I think that would only be possible if we don't bring guys back like Hufanga, maybe Greenlaw. We probably wouldn't be able to get Greenlaw back. And then somebody else. Oh, Ward is walking. Travarius Ward. So I feel like that secondary is going to need help anyways with Ward leaving. But we have young talent with Lenore and Green there. And I think with Malik Mustafa and Holland, like that would sure up the back end for like years to come, So I think he's like a player that we should really look into. And then Drew Dahlman from the Falcons, he's going to be a free agent this year. I think PFF had him graded as like the number 4 center overall in the league. So he might be kind of pricey too, but it's going to be like a thing where we have to let go guys that we've had on the roster for years and try and like go into a new direction. And like, I don't know if like our front office is going to do something like that, but I think it's like time, to like go for like young players that are like proven in this league and just throw money at like players like that. Because like in previous years, we've gone with like older guys like Javon Hargrave and like D Ford. Like they were like older players, that we threw contracts at. I feel like younger players is something they should look into.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with it. And, guys that are proven but are young, I'm definitely with that. And I'm also totally okay moving in a new direction. I mean, I do think that at some point you tried to win with this main core. It hasn't worked. Move on. You're choosing to pay Brock Purdy, rebuild around him, figure it out from there. But a lot of these like veterans that make a ton of money that just aren't living up to expectation anymore. Yeah, I'd rather get rid of early, a year early than too late, and they might already be a year too late on some of them. We'll see.
Yeah, and there's still veterans that like need to stick around, like Bosa and Warner. Those guys, like generational talents, like
Kittle. Kittle.
Kittle. And I feel like just like putting those younger guys that are really established in the league with the veterans that we still have that are obviously super talented, like Hall of Fame potential, Kittle, Warner, Bosa. Like, I don't think Holland ever played with defenders on that Miami defense that are like Hall of Fame level like that. So that's like another reason why he may not have shined over there in Miami. I think he played with like Jalen Ramsey, but like kind of on the tail end of his career, you know. Holland was like the young star for them, so that's why like I'm high on him. But yeah, that's honestly like my free agent wish list right there. It's just those two guys, but they're probably going to be expensive, you know. So that's why I feel like
maybe.
it's kind of controversial.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like it. I definitely like it. Appreciate you calling in, Justin, and we'll talk soon, hopefully.
Cool, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Have a good one. Yeah, I'm with it. I mean, I do like Holland for sure. Loved him coming out of Oregon, obviously. And we'll see. We'll see what he ends up costing. See if Miami wants to bring him back. There's a lot of movement that has to happen there for sure. Big Puffin says Super Bowl or bust. I'm all in. It's definitely Super Bowl or bust with this team. There's no doubt about that. Dave says Niners can win with a new O-line, D-line, quarterback, wide receiver, and running back. Sounds easy to me. Sounds pretty easy to me. All right, let's go. Oh, Flav. All right, hold on. Let me go Flav. And then we'll go Willis and then Jeff. And then we'll go with Jose. And then Marketing Pro. Let's see what Flav's got to say. Long
What's up,
time no
buddy?
talk, sir. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How have you been?
I've been good, man. Really good.
Nice, dude. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it was a rough year. Wish that they tanked like 2 wins earlier than they did. That would have been nice. It felt like the writing was on the wall this year so early. But anyways, I'm glad that they didn't end up with 8 or 9 wins and not get in. That would have been brutal. But
Would have been worse. Yeah.
yeah. I guess with the Salah hiring, I understand it from the Niners perspective. If nothing else, that these guys are gonna play extremely hard for him. Like effort's not gonna be an issue. They're not gonna be doubting him. I felt like there was definitely some weird stuff with Wilkes where the team like didn't really trust him or believe in him that was going on. Like you're not gonna have to deal with any of that stuff, which I like, but I do kind of still have questions as to like how good Salah really is. I mean,
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, dude, you look back at like the defense in 2019, like you couldn't run because you had probably the best D line in football with 2 top 10 linebackers in football. And then you had 2 seconds to throw the ball because you're about to get sacked. So it's like I feel like I could have gotten a head coaching job if I was the coach of that defense, just because of how good that defense was, like personnel wise. I mean, this is definitely not that defense. Like it's not even close
No, it's
right
not.
now.
It's not. What about
Yeah.
2020 though? Because to me, like that's kind of what solidified for me that he's a good defensive coordinator. Is you got to remember the next year Bosa went down very early. Fred Warner
Right.
was in and out. They had lost Buckner, and they I think still finished top 10 in defense, even though they had all that movement. And that to me is kind of what sold me. I'm like, all right, Robert Saleh is pretty good. If he can do it with these guys, like
Yeah.
this is still pretty impressive.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
No, I think like ultimately I'm leaning towards he's probably extremely good. And obviously the Jets D was good while he was there. They also had a lot of talent though, but I think all signs point to that he is pretty good. I guess my question is though, like when you don't have top of the line personnel, is he going to be able to scheme around the talent that he has, or is he going to continue to run this offense that the team thinks that they could still run when the last time it was successful, we had talent everywhere. And, ultimately it comes down to stopping the run. We haven't been able to stop the run, it feels like, in forever. And not only that, too, like on the other side, I'm not sure. I'd have to look at like in 2020, I have to assume we probably still ran the ball really well, which helps the D, obviously, like controlling the clock.
For
So
sure.
if you don't have that as well and the defense has to get out there, so ultimately, I understand it though from the Niners' perspective. I think it's a good hire. I'm excited to have him back. But they gotta, to your point, there's a lot. It's not X's and O's. It's like Jimmy's and Joe's. I feel like in terms of what the biggest holes are, and but I think if they can get an above average or get to an above average defense, and then not lose games because of special teams, that alone with a weaker schedule, assuming we have decent health, will be enough to get us into the playoffs. Whether they can actually be contenders I think they're gonna need to be like a top 7 defense again, which realistically I don't know if they can get there. And I think that depends on personnel and that sort of thing. But I guess what's weird to me though is, and I'm still confused, like why is he taking this job? To me is like kind of weird, because if his goal was to be a head coach again, which you would assume it is if he's out interviewing for a head coaching job still. Like if he strictly wanted to be a defensive coordinator, why would he still be out uh, interviewing for head coaching jobs, unless he was trying to like use that as leverage to get a better offer, or more money maybe. But if assuming that he still wanted to be a head coach, I just feel like there's a lot less risky opportunities where, either, yeah, he could go to a shitty defense where the only way to go is up, and improve a shitty defense, or go somewhere that's like, loaded with talent. Um, it's, to me, it's kind of a move where, and I kind of agree with you. I think the probability of him leaving after 1 year is probably pretty slim, just given the state of where our defense is right now. And I don't know, it just seems like for his future, I understand like getting the most money now, but for his future, seems like kind of a risky move. I feel like there would be better opportunities for him to kind of be a hero somewhere else, as opposed to, and then again, it's like if the Niners are good, how much credit is he really going to get for it? Um, I don't know, So, anyways, overall, I'm excited. I'm glad to have him back, but uh, I'm still worried about the state of the team overall.
Yeah, I agree. Him by himself doesn't fix the issue. Why, his motives of why he would choose here, I agree with that too. I mean, if I were him, I'd be looking at Detroit and salivating like, all right, hold on.
Yeah.
They got all those young players. This is a team that is expected to take a major step back. If I can keep them in the mix and this defense can improve, which it could, because on paper, it wasn't great because of a lot of those injuries, but they're still talented. That I would look at a job like that or somewhere else. And even for me, like I'm just looking at it of like, how can I be the best head coach I can be when I get that opportunity again? I've already worked with Shanahan. I know how he operates. What am I going to learn from Shanahan that I don't already know, versus I could go, anywhere else, work for a guy I haven't worked for, and potentially pick up a lot that will help me in my next job as well. So I don't know. I don't know what his motives are. Comfortability, I'm sure. Money, obviously, if they're going to make him the highest paid defensive coordinator. But that is interesting. I have thought about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point regarding like working for somebody new and continuing to grow as a
Mhm.
as a coach. I do wonder. I mean, to me, the dream job would have been Cincinnati. I just think I don't know where they are in terms of keeping everyone, but God, dude, that offense is so insane. And I
Yeah.
just feel like, I mean, they could have easily had 12 wins this past year, and I think the next D coordinator there is probably going to get a lot of attention because they're going to win a lot of games. And but I never heard that they were even interested in him, which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know either. I'm not sure. But Flav, dude, good hearing from you. I'm glad you're doing well. And hopefully we talk soon, brother.
same, buddy. Take it easy.
All right, man. Have a good one. Here we go. Been a while since I talked to Flav, man. Glad he's doing well. Let's see. Dave Barclay says, got to give Flav credit for Jimmy G. Could be worse. Definitely could be worse. Cryptic says, rank the NFC going into next season. Detroit didn't live up to the number 1 seed this year, but it happens. Do you put stock into Dallas? No. Does Atlanta do better with Penix under center? Gosh, that's tough. Like if I had to pick my playoff team next year or playoff teams, I don't know, man. That's tough because Minnesota is going to have a new starting quarterback. They've got money to spend. Like, how do the 49ers get in, basically, is what you're asking, I would assume, or that's the way I'm going to take it. Who is out of the playoffs? The teams that I would look at as potentially out of the playoffs altogether would be like the Bucks. We can't look at them because if they're out, then that means another team in that division's in. So that doesn't really count. You got to look at the wild cards. I feel like Washington will be in again. They've got $96 million. I think they're going to be okay. We got to look at Minnesota. I could see them not making it. I could. I think they overachieved for one. Number two, they might be starting a first-time quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. I don't know what that looks like. I think the Packers could potentially be out as well. They went 1-5 in the division. Easily could have been 0-6. And Jordan Love just, I don't know. He doesn't impress me. He's got a ton of physical ability for sure, but he's a turnover machine. I could see them missing it. So those are the two teams I'd be looking at. The 49ers certainly have a path to make it, especially with their schedule. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would pick the Falcons to unseed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just yet either in that division. So good question, though. Corey says, where do we actually stand with cap space? Some reports say we are in cap hell. Others say we are in a great spot. Neither. I would say neither. They're not in cap hell. I mean, they're definitely in the green for sure. They've got technically around 47 to 50 million, depending on where you look. But there's a lot of maneuvering that has to happen. There's a lot of their own guys they have to re-sign. There's a lot of their own guys they have to restructure. They've got to pay Brock Purdy. So they don't have the most money, but they're not in a Saints situation for sure. They definitely have been making mistakes, though. A lot of mistakes. I mean, this year, Eric Armstead is going to count towards 17 million. He's not even on the team. Debo Samuel, assuming they keep him, next year he'll account for like 20 million and he won't be on the team. They do this thing where, like, even Devondre Campbell, they signed him to a 1-year deal, but have him on the books essentially for 5. Like, they just kick the can down the road, which is great in the moment, but eventually it does catch up. Now, luckily for them, a lot of their expensive guys are aging, and those guys are going to be out of the league soon. Some of them are just going to simply be free agents. So it's not like they don't have any maneuverability, but then they're going to have to replace those big time guys. So you're going to have to respend the money, and hopefully you hit on those free agents. So I don't know. They're somewhere in the middle. They're not in the best spot, but they're certainly a lot worse out there for sure. What's up, William? Where's the link? Here, I'll put it in real quick. I took it down just because it was stacking up backstage, but I'll throw it in there for you if you want to jump in. You should have it now. Sorry about that. And then Jay says, what is a successful offseason look like on offense for the 49ers, and what could Brock Purdy improve on that would give you hope for Brock in 2025? Health and offensive line, I think, are the two biggest things. Brandon Ayuk has to come back healthy. Trent has to come back healthy. CMC has to come back healthy. They've got to have them available in training camp. Maybe not Ayuk. I don't know that it's realistic, but the other guys for sure. They've got to put some assets into that offensive line and have a different starter at least a position or two, and clear improvements there for me to feel good. It's not that I don't feel good about Brock. I mean, I feel great about Brock at what he's getting paid. Like, I don't think he's elite. I don't expect him to carry a roster. Like, when this team didn't make the playoffs, I wouldn't have expected it to under those circumstances with a quarterback that I don't deem as elite. So it's not that like Brock can do anything other than become elite to make me just feel great about extending him for a bunch of money. But as far as like what he's going to cost the 49ers next year, I've also said don't get rid of Brock. Like keep him for next year. Figure it out after that. He's a starting level quarterback in this league. He's very inexpensive. You've proven that at this price, if things are good around him, you can go to a Super Bowl. And if you go to a Super Bowl, you can win a Super Bowl with them. For me, it's just more the long-term prospect of paying him big time money. And it's not just a Brock thing. Again, if Dak Prescott was our quarterback, fans would hate me because I would say the same thing about him or Goff or Tua or Kyler or Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence. Like if any of those guys were the quarterbacks in San Francisco, they would be loved just the same as Brock. They would show flashes or have good seasons at some point or another. And I would say I wouldn't pay him and I would be hated for it. So it's not a Brock thing. It's just a non-elite quarterback thing. If I don't believe you're elite, I'm not paying you. I'm not comfortable paying you. Now, again, it's not my money. The 49ers can do what they want. I am pro player. So from Brock's standpoint, I hope he goes after all the money and gets it all. But being a fan of the 49ers and choosing the path that I think is the best for the 49ers long term, paying a non-elite quarterback doesn't prove to win. So I don't think that's a good idea. So I don't know that Brock, other than just proving he's elite, which there's a lot that he would have to do a lot. But I'm very comfortable with him at this price and being the starter next year. I'm very comfortable with that. Dave says FBI, like the real FBI, you know nothing of facts. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. That's pretty funny. All right. We'll go Jeff, then Jose, then Marketing Pro, then Willis. What's up, Jeff?
How you been, Jesse?
Good, man. How you been?
Pretty good, man. Congrats on the Bleacher Report.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I haven't checked in on it yet, but like I said, man, congrats. I'll be sure to look at that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So real quick, are you an Oregon fan?
I am an Oregon Duck fan. Yes, yes,
okay,
sir.
I heard you.
I'm from Oregon.
I heard you talking about it. Do you you know Derek Harmon, the D tackle, 55?
Of course I do.
So so that's what I was coming on here to talk about. Some of my like draft wish list, some players. He's a guy that I wouldn't mind taking at number 11. I don't know how you feel about that, but like this dude is a dominant run stuffer. I think he played at Michigan State last year, and he was one of the best run stoppers in the country. And then I know he came to y'all. He dropped like 10, 15 pounds, and now he's a pretty good pass rusher too.
Yeah, he is. No, he's a very good player. I think 11 is a little rich, but I also haven't checked out the other prospects. Like I haven't done a deep dive on them, like who's likely to be available, who's not. I'm comfortable with it. On the surface, though, I think 11 is a little bit rich. If we were the tail end, like if we were where we were last year, I would love him. I would love him in the late 20s, early 30s, but 11 might be a little bit rich. He is a very good player, though. Very good prospect, I should say.
Yeah, I would agree. It's probably like a little rich. He's like D tackle 3, 4 on most people's boards, but at this point, like it's a premium position, and we need D tackle bad. And I mean, and when I say we need D tackle, no more Hargraves, no more Malik Collins, no more guys that can't stop the run and are pinning their ears back, selling out to get sacks. We need guys that can take on double teams, get skinny through the middle, help out our linebackers, make tackles in the backfield. I'm ready to go all in. I mean, we need an offensive lineman. Don't get me wrong, but our D tackle spot next year is going to be really bad. Jordan Elliott, Malik Collins, who's like in his 30s, and the dude we picked up, Kalia Davis. That's it. Everybody else is either a free agent or we're releasing Hargrave. So the three guys that I have in mind is Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. That's my favorite player in the class. He led the SEC in tackles for loss. He's 6'4", 305. I mean, he in my opinion, he's better than Mason Graham. I think Mason Graham is really smart and he's patient. Doesn't make any wrong moves, but Walter Nolan really, his potential is through the roof. And then the second dude would be Derek Harmon. And then the third dude, I feel like everybody needs to check this dude out. Everybody talk about Mason Graham, but his teammate Kenneth Grant is just as good, if not better.
Okay. All right. And he's coming out as well?
Yeah, so his teammate Kenneth Grant, 78, you'll notice him. He's like 360, 350,
Okay.
6'4". I mean, he's huge. And in the national championship game last year, last year, when they played Washington, he had a bull rush on Troy Fautanu, the first-round pick to the Steelers. And he completely bulldozed. Yeah, completely bulldozed him over with one hit and took Michael Penix down for the sack. Yeah, man, I think we need to go D tackle first round. I don't know how you feel about that, but
if they go trenches, I'm all for it. Best player available in the trenches, best player available first. If it's in the trenches, even better. And then I would say, last year I was shocked that they didn't.
No defensive lineman at all.
No defensive lineman. Like I thought it was a need last year, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, and well, Jesse, here's what their problem is, and I love Chris Kosaric, but their problem is they think they can just keep bringing in guys for him to develop. But the problem is,
and he's a miracle worker. Yeah.
Once they do that, they want larger contracts somewhere else, so the guys get up and leave. We need to draft those guys and have them here for the long haul.
That way they can't go anywhere and they're inexpensive.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with it. Yep. I like that.
But man,
I agree with you, man.
Everybody in the chat and Jesse too.
Now I'm intrigued. Now I want to go watch Michigan film because I got to see it. See it.
Kenneth Grant. Obviously, you already know Derek Harmon, and then my number one is Walter Nolan. Those are the three right there.
Interesting. Okay, I got to go watch Michigan. I got to see this kid that's next to him. I got to see this.
Oh, you'll notice him. He's freaking huge.
Hey, at the very least, sounds like he can stop the run at that size, man. That's a massive human being.
Oh yeah. All right, man.
All right, brother. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
All right, man. Later. Good call. That's interesting. Interesting take. I haven't heard that. Haven't heard it. Brother, this is why it's so hard to say anything, because whenever you say something, it's taken completely out of context. There is nowhere, and you follow it up and say, that's why we can't respect your opinions. Brother, that's not my opinion. That's not what I said. So yeah, it's a little weird when you make something up and then run with it as if that's my opinion, and then you're mad at my opinion that I didn't even have. That's weird. I didn't say that. I said I'm comfortable with him at his price because he's inexpensive. Then I said I'm not comfortable paying him elite money. That doesn't mean that I'm only comfortable with him making $1 million. That is a very different conversation. I've said multiple times, hey, if they can get him on a Baker deal, or a new wave Baker deal, which is Baker signed a few years ago, which, money goes up, salary cap goes up. That would put Brock more closer in the 40 million range instead of 33, 35, whatever he's making. But you get a Baker type deal with the new flux and money, puts you in that 40 to 42 range. I would love it. I'll take it for sure. Because I do believe, like I said, I believe he's a starter. But I never once said that I'm comfortable with him only at $1 million. It's you getting offended at an opinion that I didn't have. Dave says, love for mediocrity has to stop. All right, gosh, geez, you guys are going at it. Dave says, Jesse, Brock is not worth his rookie contract. He's way outplayed his rookie contract. Hey, chill, man. Chill. I wouldn't pay Baker elite money if that's the question. I wouldn't feel comfortable with Baker at elite money either. I'd be comfortable with Baker at the same deal that I just said for Brock. The low 40s, would be a revamp. Same thing. I wouldn't pay him elite money. Hell no. He's good, but I'm not paying him elite money. He's not an elite quarterback. I'm not doing it. All right, we're going to go to Jose, Marketing Pro, Willis, and then Eric.
Jesse,
What's up, Jose? How you been, man?
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Doing good, man. You're doing your Seahawk thing over there still, huh?
I'm doing NFL playoff coverage. Easy for me to say. Good grief.
You've been covering it all. That's awesome, man. Good.
So I'm confused. Yesterday it came out that you guys wanted Pete Carroll as your defensive coordinator. Now today you want Robert Saleh back. Make up your minds.
Okay, all right. Let me explain. It does seem a little weird on the surface, Jose. All right. Let me explain to you where 49er fans are coming from, okay? Give me a second to like redeem us. So
remember, I am a Seahawks fan.
For sure.
Yes.
I do remember. Listen, let me redeem 49er fans though, real quick, okay? Robert Saleh has always been choice number one, but what happened yesterday was the Jaguars' choice at head coach, Liam Cohn, who is the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers. He pulled out of the running for that job, and it was reported he was going back to be with the Buccaneers. So at that time, the 49ers seemingly were going to lose out on Robert Saleh. He was going to go be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then that's when the report came out that they might be interested in Pete Carroll because Robert Saleh was the choice. He's no longer going to be available. So where do they pivot to? So that's where it came from. But now today, Robert Saleh is back in the mix because Liam Cohen changed his mind and is willing to take the job of the Jacksonville Jaguars, or so it sounds. So that's where we're at.
Because Shad Khan finally grew a brain.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what happened. He grew a brain.
I wasn't supposed to say that, was I? Sorry, you can catch that a lot on my channel, Sports Talk with Jose Rodriguez. Jesse, we still gotta bring you on it.
We do. We got to link up still. We got to, Sports Talk with Jose Rodriguez. Check him out. He's doing his thing for sure. And like I said, man, you're an inspiration to me. And I do owe you a show for sure. We're going to make that happen. All right.
All right. Love you, brother.
All right, man. Love you too. Have a good one, bro. Later. Man, that dude's an inspiration, man. He's fighting through it for sure, man. And he knows his stuff too. He knows his stuff. So happy to do a show with you, man. We'll get it figured out. Absolutely appreciate you. All right, man. Let's Josh, not better than Brock. What's the Baker take? Oh, somebody else in the chat with the Baker take. And you guys are going crazy. I can't even keep up. You guys go too far with it. Like Brock's not trash. Baker's not trash. Like they're both good. They're both not elite. Like that's just the reality. But they are both good quarterbacks. And I'm not even a Baker guy. I couldn't stand Baker. But he's turned his career around. If you can say that Baker is trash, then you haven't been watching. Baker for the last 2 years has been pretty damn good. So they've been in the playoffs the last 2 years. He's dealt with some things. Statistically, he's right there. I mean, him and Brock for the last 2 years are dang near identical. They've been in the playoffs twice, won one playoff game, got knocked out in the first round this year. He's good. I mean, he's good. He's just not elite. All right, we're going to go Marketing Pro, Willis, and then Eric. What's up, Marketing Pro?
What up, big dog Jesse? Congrats on your promotion, man. and well deserved. Very happy
Thank
for
you,
you.
Will. Appreciate you. Thank you.
You know, as a non-49er fan, you know what I appreciate about you? You're non-filtered, and you actually give the real takes. You know, you say the uneasy things with the facts, and you're not being biased. So that's my message to the audience. You know, Jesse is unfiltered. He keeps it real, and keep liking, subscribing, and supporting Jesse, man, because he's bringing it to y'all.
I appreciate that, man. It's definitely not popular, and it's not easy going against the grain for sure. But it is the real opinion, and whether you agree with it or not, at least I have a reason for the opinion. You know what I mean? I guess that's my biggest thing is like, if you're gonna have an opinion, regardless of what it is, you at least got to be able to talk through it intelligently. And as long as you can do that, even if I disagree, all right, I'll give it to you. Like, it's a good opinion. I disagree with it, but it's a fair opinion to have because you can talk through it, and that's good.
100%. And you know, I've looked at what you've said and the way you broke it out. Yeah, Brock, is he elite? No, he's good with the Shanahan system, sure. But let's look at Brock Purdy since that Ravens game. He's 9-11, 18 picks in 21 games. I mean, I don't necessarily think that's elite, and it's not a knock on Brock Purdy. It's just this, if you're going to pay a guy 55, 60 million, you certainly have to look at that. Would you not?
Yeah, I would think so. And, you know, I think the thing is like two things can be true, right? And I've tried to say this a million times, and I think you would agree with this. Like, he's exceeded all expectations by a country mile, and he's criminally underpaid at where he's at now, right? That much is factual. But he's also not elite. Now, the market says this is what he's worth. He's the next guy up. And I don't begrudge Brock. Go get your money, man. Your agent should be asking for all of the money. And I wouldn't budge if you feel like that's owed to you. And you can get that money. Go get that money. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of the red and gold and what is best for them. I am not team anybody over the actual 49ers franchise and their best chances to win a Super Bowl. And if it comes down to paying him all that money, and if I don't believe that's the best thing for this team long term, then I'm not going to back it, period.
100%. And I'm all for Brock getting his money. You know what I mean? Like, it's a great story, last pick in the draft. And he made some money. He got a Toyota deal, you know, and I'm like you, man, get that money, man. But here's the thing. When Brock gets that 55 million, a lot of those guys around him are going to be gone. And is Brock a guy that's Patrick Mahomes? You put the team on the back, you know, go in there and win those nitty-gritty games in the snow, the rain. Is he that guy? From this year, the data would say no. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Matthew Stafford, cracked ribs since week 15. Almost pulled that game out. You know what I mean? 14 yards away, 324 yards in the snow, a couple touchdowns. That's what the 49ers need. I believe Kyle Shanahan's system is good. And he can get guys open deep, but he's never had that golden arm quarterback. That's what he's been missing, you know, ever since he's gotten to San Francisco. So that's going to be the challenge for the 49ers. So if you're going to sign Brock, you definitely have to build that offensive lineup because he's starting to break down. I'm starting to notice Brock's injuries are piling up as well. It's only, you know, so you got to get that right side line amped up. And my second question is, do you bring back Jake Moody?
I personally would not. No, I'm over the Jake Moody thing. I think at the very least, you got to bring in a couple undrafted rookie kickers to compete with them. And I feel like when kickers get the yips, like they need a change of scenery or something drastic has to change. And I feel like once you have the yips and you stay with that team, your yips are there forever. Like we've seen it happen time and time again. He's got the yips. It's clear it's a mental issue. It's not physical. Something has to change. And maybe he can be a good kicker somewhere else. Hopefully that can happen for him, but I'm not comfortable with him. I'm not.
You know, I'll tell you one thing. Even when he makes those kicks, they're squeaking one way or the other. They're not going upright. And they're low. His kicks are really low. So I don't know if it's a technique thing with him. I mean, there's a lot of guys with big legs, but that doesn't mean they're an elite kicker. So, and I mean, I don't know why Kyle kept him on the team. I thought he should have been gone. But overall, I really see the Rams as the big brothers in the NFC West now because our front four is scary, man. Fisk and Burst. And then on the other end, we're going to get a lot of pieces next year. We got a lot of salary cap, and the Rams are only going to be better next year. And Stafford confirmed he's coming back. He had cracked ribs. That's why he struggled in the last few games. His wife confirmed it. So let me ask you, as an outsider, just like I gave you an outside opinion of 49ers, how you see the Rams shaping up next year, in your opinion, from your –
Yeah, I mean, I will say it did seem like Stafford was I've got some background noise, so I'm just gonna mute you while I'm talking, but I'll get back to you.
I'm at the –
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So Matthew Stafford, to me, I was like, I got to see this playoff run from him because he is a little bit older. It did seem like he was potentially regressing this year. I did at the beginning of the season have him in that elite category, and he showed flashes of that, but there was some clear signs of like something's off. Now, the ribs thing does add up. If he had 4 broken ribs, as they're saying, that's a possibility for sure. But he played well in the playoffs. So to me, I've got the confidence in him until he proves he's not that guy. And so you've got the best quarterback in the division. You've revamped the offensive line and defensive line. The trenches are where it starts, and they've done a great job there. They've got a ton of money in free agency. Most of those guys on the offensive and defensive line are 1 or 2 years into their career. So they're young. They're ascending. Obviously, Stafford's older. I'm curious to see what they do with Cooper Kupp. Probably time to move on from him unless, maybe he can get back into form too. Maybe he just had the injuries and never got healthy. That's a possibility. But even then, he's been dealing with injuries the last couple of years. He's a little bit injury prone. I heard Jake talk about, they should pursue T. Higgins. They can definitely afford him. Now, that would be scary. You pair him with Puka Nacua. So, yeah, and the Rams draft well. They do draft well. I mean, they didn't have this is the first time they've had a first-round draft pick in a long time, yet they've still rebuilt a defensive line to be formidable. Losing Aaron Donald, I mean, that's impressive in itself. So they draft very well. I mean, I don't think that they're like run away from the rest of the division. I would say right now I would pick them to win the division next year, but I don't necessarily think that they're like running away from everybody to where it's impossible to be caught. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, great take, man. I'm definitely was looking for T. Higgins as well. I think the injuries with Cooper Kupp have caught up with him. He's lost a step. He doesn't get that separation no more. And we're willing to trade him. 49ers want him. Hey, let's do this, man.
No. We got our own issues in Debo that we got to figure out. So no, we're good over here.
Yeah, man. But hey, man. Hey, but T. Higgins is who we're eyeing, and then there's a couple other players. We're looking to get a inside linebacker as well that can stop the run game. That's why we lost those 2 big runs by Barkley. Otherwise, we're in that title game. So, anyways, man, I gotta let you go, big dog Jesse. I appreciate you. The best 49ers podcaster right here, man. Big dog Jesse.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, Marketing Pro. Have a good one, man.
Keep bringing the heat, baby. Rams Nation.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. Later. Yeah, man. Definitely need linebacker help. I know that the Rams in the past haven't seemed to prioritize linebackers, but I think they are now. I think they understand the importance, and you can do that through the draft. I've heard it's a good linebacker draft. Again, I haven't dug deep into these prospects, so I don't know for sure, but Flav says, agree on not paying Brock next year would be best for the for the $60 million price tag. But if he holds out, you have no shot to contend. And if you try with money they have already invested, I think you just have to do it. I disagree. I mean, first of all, you can't. He's not going to hold out like through the season. You have to accrue a year. Certainly, I guess he could hold out until week 11. I think it's week 11. I just don't see him doing that. Like, another thing I'd be willing to do is do what the Packers did with Jordan Love. Like, Brock, we agree. You're underpaid. That is very clear. Very clear. Okay. But based off of what we saw last year, you do have to say it's probably fair that we love you, but we don't know that we can give you a 5-year deal based off of your injury history. And you didn't have your best season last year when things weren't great around you. Things are not always going to be great. This is the NFL. We're also not comfortable just giving you top of the market money. So here's what we're willing to do. We'll give you 1-year deal, 30 million fully guaranteed. That at least takes care of you this year. And we'll renegotiate again next year. We'll figure it out. Like, that's also a possibility. You can do that too. Now, again, I don't expect the 49ers to let him play out his deal. I don't expect the 49ers to do the 1-year what I'm suggesting. I do expect them to pay him, but to say they have to, they don't know. They don't have to do that. They don't. And quite frankly, if you're really taking inventory of this team, I don't think that that they have a realistic shot to win a Super Bowl. So Brock sitting out is like, what it's stopping you from winning the Super. You're not going to win the Super Bowl anyways. So if you're just being honest, a lot has to happen for you to even have a chance at that next year, including guys that are older that clearly regressed last year. They're all going to have to just miraculously turn back into their old selves. Like, a lot has to happen. You have to stay healthy. You're going to have to nail the draft. You're going to have to nail free agency. Your guys that are paid a lot of money have to return to form. And then that's assuming that is good enough, because other teams around you have gotten better in the last 2 years while you haven't necessarily. So anything is possible, but you don't have to. You don't have to just give in to the demands and pay him. Like, it's not true either. Now, is it likely they do? Yes, but you don't have to. All right, we'll bring in Willis here. What's up, Willis?
Yo, what up, man? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Yes.
Yeah, Niner gang this time from the West Coast to the East Coast. Gang. I know that caller just came to as a Rams fan. Man, get out of here. You know, I like you. I like him for the views, but anybody got
Seahawks
time for
fan
you?
and then a Rams fan, Willis.
Yeah,
Back
what
to
a
back.
dork. What a dork. Hear me out. Hear me out. I'm just
Right.
like you. I don't really hold back my punches. Let me be real with you. All right, this is a huge year for Kyle. I like to call him Lyle. You replace the L, or the K with the L, right? Because L's is all he knows. You know what I'm saying? L's is all he knows. All right. So I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you. You can coin that term. If he loses this year, the Super Bowl's in Santa Clara this year. If he loses, his name's Lyle. Lyle Shanahan forever. I don't give a damn what he. But hear me out. Okay, hear me out. We might be cooked. Like, the Niners have to nail this draft and free agency. Like, this, if they want to win the Super Bowl, it starts literally in the offseason. Like, it literally starts in the offseason until next February. Literally. And I just think, I just think it's like, and I think he's been a terrible coach in terms of building the O line. I think he's been super just arrogant in thinking that his online play has been superior. The lack having a lackluster online has gotten Jimmy G hurt, has gotten Brock hurt multiple times. We would have been in the Super Bowl maybe twice, right? It's subpar. It's almost embarrassing. Look, whether we pay Brock or not, right? We have to invest on that O line, or else that boy is cooked. All right, and especially for that boy, bro, just let him just franchise his ass. Give him some, he's already doing all these middle class fancy sponsors. Get him a chili sponsorship, Applebee's. You know what I'm saying? Olive Garden, we family. Just let him find these sponsors. Because to me, l- look, he's not the man until he has hardware on his hand. That's the truth. And
I
as a
agree.
Niner fan, the last guy who's had hardware has earned it was number 8, right? And then every other guy has been a guy until he's not. All right. Like, for me, it's been Jeff Garcia. Potential, no, nothing. Alex Smith, obviously. Colin Kaepernick, who I wanted him to be the savior, right? Nada. Jimmy G, who everyone thought, oh, look at this, handsome guy. Trash. Buns. Jimmy Buns. All right. And then Brock. Right. And I really am rooting for Brock. But at the same time, I'm at this point, I've had my heart broken so many times that it's like, you know what, I don't believe in abuse. I'm just gonna keep sober and just see how things play out. What's your take on that? What's your take?
I think that's totally fair. I think it's a level-headed take. I collect memorabilia, and for a time there, it was like every quarterback that we were getting, I was buying signed memorabilia. I'm like, this is the guy. This is gonna be the guy. This is gonna be the guy. And then it's like, yeah, at some point, you're like, okay, prove it, brother. Prove it for more than a year. Give me a good 4-year run, a 3-year run before I can just say I'm in on you. And nobody's been able to do it yet. So I'm
Yeah.
not in. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
in.
mean, you only buy quarterback jerseys if they won you rings, and
Mhm.
that's law. You know what I mean? That's law. I
Yep.
you think people still rocking this? The Colin Kaepernick 7 jerseys? Nope. All right, why are you buying a Brock Purdy jersey? Why you buy he? Like and like I said, like I want to root for him. And also like going back to the draft, bro. The Niners have only really hit on 2 picks on the first round since the entire Shanahan era. It's been only
Mm.
Bosa, and then you could say BA, but he's been a bit
Yeah.
mid, and obviously this year happened. That is malpractice at its finest. Yeah, diamonds in the rough for sure, but the ones that change the franchise and are game changers and are like Nick Bosa year one. Without him, we wouldn't have gone to the Super Bowl. 2019. So the fact that we've whiffed on so many first rounders is insane. It's crazy. It's like what do we forget like the stuff of like getting Patrick Mahomes and getting Micah Parsons and getting Trey Lance, but then we get Brock. I just it's this is a big year for this administration and this regime because if
The
not,
biggest year, right?
yeah, I
Willis,
think
like
this is.
this is the biggest year. This is
Oh
the
yeah,
biggest
baby.
year.
You know what I'm saying? If not, their ass is grass. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I'm just a fan. You know what I mean? I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I just don't get it. I don't get what's going on. And this year was just, it was atrocious. And he might have just starts also too. Just at the end, I think this is more like at the end of the day, this system is all just running back based. It's like CMC was the main character, and obviously he went down, and I think it started. That was the beginning of the end when he wasn't showing up. Then everything else crumbled, and
Yeah, I
ultimately, I
agree.
don't. Yeah, and I think when it comes to the quarterback, when it comes to the quarterback play, better yet, drafting quarterbacks, you draft the guy until you find your guy. And I think Brock Purdy is just as replaceable as potentially the next guy. It's just we don't know that yet, right? We don't know, and we got to just draft. And whether it's like a fifth, I don't care if you waste a 6th round pick. You got to just draft the guy. And for the love of God, can he just be above 6'1", like a no offense, like a non 6'1" white guy? To all the people who are 6'1" out there, like just with a noodle arm, can he just be like somewhat of a
I'm a 6'1"
dog?
white guy. All right, I like 6'1"
Yeah,
white
but
guys
yeah. Too bad. Like you
with
have
a
a
noodle arm.
yeah. So yeah, we've had like that every year. Like, can we just stop that, please? So that's all my ranting. I love ranting. I love my Niner gang. Every other team sucks. I hope everyone in the Super Bowl loses. I hope they all lose. I hope Chiefs lose forever.
Yeah,
But
me
that's
too,
just
man.
me.
Me too. All right,
That's
brother.
just
Thanks for
me.
calling in, man.
Niner gang this thing. Yurt.
I knew Dave was going to come in. He's like, hold on a second. We're talking Lyle? I think I coined that a while ago. I knew that I knew he was coming with that. I knew. I was waiting for Dave. I'm like, maybe he left the chat. There's a small chance that Dave is no longer here and he didn't catch it. And I'll just let it slide. But I knew that if Dave heard the Lyle thing, he's like, yo, come on, man. Every chat, I've been here for a year saying this. But to be fair, I think Willis is off in his own world, man. We'll let him coin it too, man. I don't think he saw it. So, but he's a Niner fan, and that's all that matters. I heard the Kendrick Lamar reference in there. That was pretty good. He snuck that one in there. So definitely all about it. All right, y'all. Listen, it's 11:17 on the East Coast. Robert Saleh seems to be coming back to the 49ers. This is great news. And I hope that you all have a blessed weekend. I will be live tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern on Bleacher Report for about 30 minutes. If you can check it out, that'll be great. And I'm trying to figure out how I can watch this all 22 of these prospects without getting dinged on YouTube. I think the best way is to do a webinar, which I can send the link out to everybody and then just do it for members. So I'm figuring out the logistics on that, but I do got to start grinding some film on these guys. And if I'm going to grind it, I might as well do it with y'all and see what you guys think too. So trying to figure that out. Shout out to Tony. Absolutely. You're right about that. Much love, y'all. Have a blessed night. We'll talk soon. Peace.